Hello and welcome back to Hadoop Exam Learning Resources. In this session, I'm going to cover question number 13 from AWS Solution Architect Professional Level Certification Exam Practice Questions. Now let's move to the question number 13 from the paper. Okay. So you have created a subnet where all your application server instances will be launched and the database remain in the local data center. Also, you have created VPN for having communication between your data center and VPC subnets. Now you wish to provide security on instance level under a subnet. Which one of the below feature will help you to implement the same? So what question is saying here, as per designing, if I go with designing, so there is your corporate data center, correct? This is your corporate data center. I would mention as a data center. This is your AWS VPC. Okay. Here, what it is saying, this VPC, basically, okay, let me go back to question. You created a subnet where all your F server instances will be launched. So there is a one subnet in that all your application servers are launched. These are all your application servers which are running here in this subnet. So this is a subnet. Okay. Now, next one also created a VP. Okay. Uh, the data center and VPC. So now here is a database. That is what you are saying. It's a database in your basically data center. You have created a VPN connection between these two. Okay, to make a secure communication between data center and subnet. Now you wish to provide security on instance level security. Now you need to configure instance level security, correct? Rather than on subnet level or VPC level. So you can have a various kind of security, correct? One is on VPC level, another is subnet level, another is on instance level, correct? Which one from the below will help you to implement the same? So let me go to the explanation for this question. Then we can come back to the answer for this question. So first understand instances in a subnet. You have to have subnet to launch any instances in VPC. If you are launching any instance as per this diagram, you can see here, this instance you are launching, it must be inside a subnet. Here you can see this must be inside subnet. It can be, and subnet must be inside this VPC. You can see, and VPC must be inside your region, correct? And VPC can be across availability zone. It is possible, correct? So you must have security options for instances. There are two possibilities to provide security option. One is a security group which you can provide, and another is a network access control list. You would have heard most likely. So both features are helping to control the traffic, where it's outbound or inbound traffic, correct? We will understand more on the differences between these two later. So instance level, please note that security group works on instance level only. So whatever security group configuration here in this diagram, as you can see, it works on an instance level. Here you can see and another security group. So slightly different. What here this diagram is saying, both the instances are following the same security group here. But in this side, in this subnet, this instance is saying I am following my own security group rules, and this instance is saying I am following my own security rule group. So that is possible in a one subnet. You can have each instances following different security group rules. Now subnet level, network ACL works on a subnet level. So if you see like network ACL, this is what network ACL security, that is on a subnet level. So this is your subnet, this is your subnet, correct here. So this entire network access control list rule applies to entire subnet. This is entire subnet. Okay. For many use cases, security group level is enough basically, and you generally don't configure this network ACL. Default VPC ACL, like whenever you basically don't define your own network ACL, then there's a default ACL network ACL always comes, and what is that? That is on defined on the VPC level. So whatever on VPC level is defined, getting attached to that subnet. If you don't define your own, then whatever is defined in VPC level would be defined here. You can change the association and content of the network ACL. So if you want, like I don't want to follow the VPC ACL, correct? And for this subnet, I want to create my own network ACL. So what you can do, you can create a new network ACL and attach to this subnet, correct? And even you can modify whatever modification you want to do on that network ACL. That is the reason you wanted to do on subnet level, because you wanted to modify. If you don't want to modify, then why do create a new network ACL, correct? So for any subnet level, if you want modification, you can. So you can now security groups. Now move to security. Security group act as a firewall for associated Amazon EC2 instances. So this is we discussed. This is on EC2 instance level, controlling both inbound and outbound traffic at the instance level. When you launch an instance, you can associate it with one or more security group that you have created. It is not necessary like you have only one security group attached to this instance. You can create another security group and attach to this instance. And SC3, this is 3. You can also attach. So this is up to you how many security group you wanted to attach is. You can do that. Then each instance in your VPC could belong to a different set of security groups, as we discussed. Like here, this is a different security group. This is a different. If you don't specify a security group when you launch the instance is automatically associated with the default security group on a VPC, similar to network ACL. Network ACL act as a firewall for associated subnets. Okay, network ACL is works on the subnet level, controlling both inbound and outbound traffic at the subnet level. So that is what. Now understand the differences between this table is very important. You would get a question most likely based on this table. There are very high chance. So security group we discussed works on a instance level. That works on a subnet level. Supports allow rules only. If you want any traffic to be allowed, then it only and only supports allow rules. There is no deny rules you can configure on security group. But on a network ACL, if you want to specify deny, then you can specifically say, okay, on this port I wanted to deny traffic. That is what you can do. But here you can say on port 8880 I wanted to allow traffic for web requests, so then it is allow only. It's a stateful, very important. Basically this answer is basically this is very important slide, correct? Even solution architect associate level, a return traffic is automatically allowed regardless of any rules. So suppose on this instance you say like 80 port key security group is allowing, it means if any traffic goes out of 80, then it is allowed by default. That is stateful. Request and response is allowed. Whatever rule you define doesn't matter. Okay, that is what it is saying. NSCL is stateless. Return traffic must be explicitly allowed. So if you want like some ET traffic is I'm allowing on this using this network ACL on port 80, it means if I wanted to get a response back, then I have to explicitly mention allow response as well, because it's a stateless. So here you need to define both outgoing and inbound incoming rule as well. Here you can just say like only allow rules needs to be, oh, sorry, here on this security group you only allow rule has to be defined. Here we Amazon says we evaluate all rules before deciding whether allowed traffic is not. So all rules would be evaluated and then final decision comes by evaluating all the rules. Whatever final decision comes out to be, then only it would say it's allowed. Here it says we process rules in order starting with the lowest number rule. So here in network ACL we define the numbers when basically when you define some rule, and what they say, they start evaluating one. If you say allow on one, then it will go to 2 and check whether 2 is also allowed or not when deciding whether allow traffic or not. So and then whatever comes out here basically based on that he will again If they say allow, then it will go out. Okay. And similarly for deny rule, you need to see what is the like explicitly you need to define. Applies to instance only. Security groups applies to instance only. If someone specifies security group at launching the instances or associate the security group with the instance later on. So you can change it later on as well once you automatically applies to all instances in subnet that is associated with. Therefore, it provides an additional layer of defense if the security group rules are not too permissive. So if you are not properly configuring your security group, then additional security is provided by network ACL. So that is what it is answering. So now question is saying, like, in this configuration, now you wish to provide security on instance level. So which one you would choose? Restricting the port 80 and 8080 to outbound traffic. This is talking about specific port, correct? Basically, um, to communication, but we are not talking about only port here. Security group levels help here for sure, right? Network ACL is not an instance level, that is. So that answer is your second one is security group will help here. So that is the answer. So that that's all about this question. I know the question is more straightforward. We discuss little bit more on explanation. The reason is like you understand more and more on the that's our purpose, and you would apply this logic in your real-time project as well as in real-time exam. So thank you very much for listening and watching this video, and I'm hoping this is helping to you build your career, and some way we are helping you to grow in your career. That is what our intent here. And if you are watching on YouTube, please don't forget to subscribe because we continuously upload new videos on YouTube as well. Thank you. I'm stopping now.